Look, 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 look. Look at this. Somebody come look at this. Look at this. Somebody come and look at this. Look at this.
I'm tired of being labeled. I'm an American. I'm not an African American. I'm an American.
Bruh.
Oh, girl, don't set up the Twitter on fire.
I'm sorry.
What?
I'm
sorry.
sorry.
My Lord. What did you just say? Stop the tape right now. Okay.
I will say this.
What?
I mean, I don't know where my roots go to. I don't know how far back they go. I can't go on, I don't know how far back, and I don't know what country in Africa I'm from. But I do know that my roots are in Louisiana. I'm an American. And that's a colorless person, because we're all people. I have lots of things running through my veins.
I mean, you're going to get a lot of flack for saying you're not African American. You know that, right?
I don't label myself.
Okay. So I want you to say what you really mean by that.
What I really mean by that is I'm an American. That's what I really mean. I have darker skin. I have a nice, interesting grade of hair. I connect with Caucasian. I connect with Asian. I connect with Black. I connect with Indian. I connect with each culture.
You are a melting pot in one body.
Aren't we all?
Yes.
Isn't that what America's supposed to be?
Yeah, that's what it's supposed to be.
That's what it's supposed to be. I personally feel that way.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
Berean Scholar. Berean Scholar. Waking up the people of the Most High. Got the knowledge to destroy the lies. DNA history, open eyes. Walk into the darkness and turn on the lights. Wake up, 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 wake up.
Melanin may play a much bigger role than just absorbing all this radiation, and when you get it into your body, it actually has a major effect on your immune system.
Now, last week I had you write an essay about the things that you liked the most. This week I thought it might be fun if we wrote an essay about the things that we disliked the most. Solomon?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you think of something that you dislike?
Being a nigga. I didn't mean nothing bad. The teacher asked a question and I just answered it.
Why'd you say it?
'Cause it's the truth. If and I was white, my pa'd still be alive. Being a nigga killed my pa. You answer me something, sir.
If I can.
Would you like to live to be 100?
Sure, I would. It's not very likely, but I guess all of us like to live to a ripe old age.
Would you rather be black and live to be 100, or white and live to be 50?
If you, as a white person, would be happy to receive the same treatment that our black citizens do in this society, please stand. You didn't understand the directions. If you white folks want to be treated the way blacks are in this society, stand. Nobody's standing here. That says very plainly that you know what's happening. You know you don't want it for you. I want to know why you're so willing to accept it or to allow it to happen for others.
I would say now the Negro is inferior by nature because of Noah's curse. And so one brother during the days of slavery wanted to justify slavery, and he had set his argument up on the framework of Aristotle's thinking. He could say, now, all men are made in the image of God. Then came his minor premise, God, as everybody knows, is not a Negro, therefore the Negro is not a man. They argue now on more cultural and subtle sociological grounds. The Negro is not culturally ready for integration. And if you integrate schools and if you integrate too much, the Negro will pull the white race back a generation.
There is a connection between genetics and trauma. What we've discovered is trauma is information that can be stored at a genetic level and passed down through generations. 5 generations after the actual trauma actually happened, you can have post-traumatic symptoms still coming out in some of those people. And so that in itself is nothing more than a concept that is interesting. The reality is becoming aware and conscious of who you are and how you operate based on whatever those epigenetics are. There's been a disproportionate amount of my work that has been clearing ancestral stuff, especially the last probably year, unrealizing, because I've just thought it was all mine, and then about a year ago I started having some really interesting stuff happening, and I realized I was clearing stuff that wasn't mine, and I just found it super, super interesting.
After being kidnapped, raped, and held as an 18-year hostage, J.C. Lee Dugard was rescued. But rather than condemning her captor, she shockingly referred to him as a great guy.
On the surface, Dugard's behavior seems bizarre, but it's typical of a psychological phenomenon known as Stockholm Syndrome. Victims of Stockholm Syndrome develop compassion and loyalty towards their captors.
So it's spirit for his own good. I don't want no trouble. Toby be good nigga for massa. Good nigga. Don't send Toby away. Toby be good for your hand, boss. Good for your hand, massa.
It's all right, Toby. It's all right. You be a good field hand, and you can stay here.
Ah, Toby stay. Toby stay. Toby be good now. Toby be real good.
Victims of Stockholm Syndrome develop compassion and loyalty towards their captors. The condition follows psychologically traumatizing situations like hostage situations and kidnapping.
In Brown versus Board of Education, the famous case that desegregated schools in the 1950s, Dr. Kenneth Clark conducted a doll test with black children. He asked them to choose between a black doll and a white doll. In most instances, the majority of the children preferred the white doll. I decided to reconduct this test as Dr. Clark did to see how we've progressed since then. Can you show me the doll that you like best or that you'd like to play with?
This one. This one. I like that one.
Yeah. Show. Okay.
This one.
That one?
This one. I like to play with this.
And can you show me the doll that is the nice doll? And why is that the nice doll?
She's white.
And can you show me the doll that looks bad? Okay. And can you and why does that look bad?
Because it's black.
And why do you think that's a nice doll?
Because she's white.
And can you give me the doll that looks like you? "15 out of the 21 children preferred the white doll."
You cannot be for real. Oh my God, you for real. No, you for fake. No, you for real. You lying. You not.
But did you know that your skin color is your superpower? That's right. The melanin that's in your skin is a gift from the Most High. They knew it. They didn't want you to know it. In fact, they try to copy it. Watch this.
Hey, I'm Diana. You're watching Physics Girl, just relaxing here in the shade on this beautiful summer day. So a couple months ago, a few guys got in touch with me and told me that they had access to a UV camera. Do you know what that is? It's a camera that allows you to see the world in ultraviolet, which meant a few things for me. It meant that I could see what this looks like in UV. I could see what your face looks like without any lotion or makeup on in UV. And I could see how sunscreen shows up on your face in ultraviolet.
Bruh.
And I could see how sunscreen shows up on your face in ultraviolet. And I could see how sunscreen shows up on your face in ultraviolet.
The low level of melanin in their skin won't allow them to be out in the sun too long, or they get sunburned. Too much sun, and they can develop skin cancer. Man, with that suntan lotion on their skin, who did they look like? We have the superpower.
Oftentimes, due to the society we live in that promotes the European standard of beauty, many Black women can feel like their beauty isn't good enough. But this is starting to change more and more as they realize their melanin really is kind of like magic. Everyone has melanin, both light and dark-skinned individuals. Melanin is a broad term for a group of natural pigments found in most organisms. It is the primary determinant of skin color. Black women greatly benefit from melanin because it prevents them from aging as quickly as other groups.
A study found that Black women's skin typically ages about 10 years slower than white women's skin. Here's why. Human skin has 3 layers: the epidermis, the dermis, and the hypodermis. Melanocytes in the epidermis produce melanin, a natural skin pigment. Melanin blocks UV rays, which can accelerate the aging process. Black men and women produce more melanin in their skin, which results in darker pigments. The more melanin in your skin, the more protection you have against the harmful effects of sun exposure. Too much exposure to UV rays can cause skin to age quicker, resulting in wrinkles and sunspots. Since white women produce less melanin, they can show signs of aging faster. This doesn't mean that Black women won't experience skin aging. It just happens at a slower rate.
Melanin is a molecule, and the concept of melanin is it is black in its nature, and we find it in the cosmos, we find it in the heavens, we find it in water, we find it in land, we find it in everything that exists.
Scholars and scientists have been having conferences about melanin, to my awareness, at least since the 1920s. These scientists said that the pineal gland, they refer to the pineal gland as a vestigial organ. That is a calcified gland within the body that serves no purpose, as if the creator would create something that you didn't need. And it was only after the Vietnam War, in the late 60s and early 70s, that they began to rewrite their interpretation of the pineal gland. The reason for that was that a large number of African Americans fought and died during the Vietnam War. And whenever a soldier dies, there's an autopsy that's performed before their body is sent back to Dover Air Force Base. And what they discovered, what these physicians discovered, is that when they performed the autopsies, the 75 to 80% of the African American soldiers had a large functioning pineal gland. The pineal gland is normally about the size of your thumb. So it was not a vestigial organ in 70 to 80% of African Americans, but it is a calcified organ in 75 to 80% of people with European ancestry. So they began to reevaluate the pineal gland.
So this is a complex molecule. It's found in the brain. It's found in your adrenal glands. It's a powerful free radical scavenger. In other words, it helps the body prevent this oxidation, so it's an antioxidant. Melanin may play a much bigger role than just absorbing all this radiation, and when you get it into your body, it actually has a major effect on your immune system. It protects genes and it actually repairs broken DNA. Isn't that wonderful? Something breaks down because you're exposed to chemicals or radiation. Think of the people of Japan right now in 2011 who are suffering from huge amounts of radiation. What could we do to help them prevent cancer developing? Well, you need a DNA repairer, and that's what melanin does. It exists in many other tissues, as I mentioned. It's actually a very important molecule in any woman who's having a baby, because the fetus has all this melanin in it.
The sperm of the male and the egg of the woman, they're both layered with melanin, so that when the sperm penetrates the egg, there is a melanin explosion. And that melanin helps to formulate the fetus within that egg. And that fetus is literally coated with a melanin substance. And that melanin substance then goes on to form the brain and the central nervous system. So every human being begins with a melanin explosion.
In steering things in the body, in the whole regulatory system, melanin's role in embryological organization, that's in the baby's organization, and tissue repair and tissue regeneration, may be connected to the major role that it plays to balance the body. That's called homeostasis. Here's a picture of a baby at 35 days of pregnancy, and this is the eye of an embryo. Notice that the eye is pure melanin. That's an amazing picture, isn't it? To see all this melanin is inside, and when the embryo first forms, there is what's called the dark streak. It's all melanin.
It is the dynamic, the primary dynamic in every part of the cell. It's a primary dynamic in the core of the human being as well as to the surface of the human being. Its intelligence is responsible for the forming of the nervous system. Every part of the nervous system has these little black dots all through it, which essentially carry information.
The body is actually a communication system where everything is connected to everything else, and it works through light. It works through light. It's called biophotons. And in this communication system, cells have connections to other cells called integrins, and electrons and light flows between cells. So it's like a supercomputer. In fact, there's somebody even studying whether energy is directly absorbed from the melanin in your skin and transformed into energy in your body. And it's thought to be, by some people, a master molecule that actually steers how the body communicates.
Clearly, the more melanin you have, the more beneficial it is to your being and to your body. How could anyone ever be ashamed of the melanin that possesses so much magic?
What shade, not what color, was Adam and Eve's skin? If Adam and Eve had all little A's and little b's, the whole world would be that. But if Adam and Eve had all big A's and big B's, the whole world would be that. But that lacks the genetic variability we see. It makes much more sense that Adam and Eve are in the middle brown, and from two middle brown people, you can get people who are lighter than the parents, people who are darker than the parents. That's very, very easy to understand. There's lots of families like that. You go to Florida, California, you see a lot of families like that. Kids darker than the parents and lighter than the parents. And you see, because of the Tower of Babel, if some people in some groups, because of who married who died out, who was left, who was isolated from who, if they ended up with only big A's and big B's on their own, they're only going to produce dark-skinned people. If they ended up with only little A's and little B's on their own, they're only going to produce light-skinned people. Remember, poodles with poodles only give poodles, right? These would have to mix back with others to get back the genetic diversity that was already there, to not have just light skin anymore, but to produce people with different shades.
This is a map of the continents of the Earth showing how much ultraviolet light lands in each latitude. It turns out the closer you are to the equator, the more intense the ultraviolet. We use reds and purples. But then as you move away from the equator, we change the colors to orange, yellow, greens, and grays. Now here's the same map of the same continent with just one color. And it turns out that everybody on Earth is descended from people that live here in Africa. And it turns out that everybody on Earth is descended from people that live here in Africa. And it turns out that everybody on Earth is descended from people that live here in Africa. And then as groups of us moved around the world, the color of our skin had to change. And here's why. Our skin is where we make vitamin D. If you don't get enough ultraviolet, you don't get enough vitamin D. But if you get too much ultraviolet, then you break down your folates. You have to have it in perfect balance. And because the ultraviolet varies, the color of our skin varies. And that's it, everybody. That's why we have different colored skin. But we're all one species. But we're not treating each other fairly. Not everybody's getting an even shake.
So all the science from Bill Nye and Ken Ham says Adam and Eve were dark-skinned people. And they were located in Africa, where dark-skinned people live. And you would have to have dark skin in that area to be able to survive. But why do they have so much pushback and false narratives to say that Egypt wasn't dark-skinned? Or the movies like this one, Charlton Heston, all the actors are white. Everything you see is white. In fact, I did a video before about whitewashing history and one about why imaging is so important. You need to go back and watch those videos. This is why they try to change our images.
Okay, naturally, where we are situated, where we're sitting right now in this particular room in the city of Dimona. Dimona is located in southern Judea, and Judea is pretty much right in the center of what was called in our old geological historical classes. It was the middle of the Fertile Crescent, and the Fertile Crescent was, of course, where great civilization sprang up. The Jordan Valley is right in between the great Mesopotamian region, the Sumerian civilization, the area that Abraham did come from. And of course, in the southern portion of the crescent, you have the Nile Valley. And so we are right situated in the middle of that particular fertile crescent that history gives credit to as being the seat and the bed of early civilizations. And so this is, even though it's called the Middle East, that is another era of time in which such a term was even coined. And of course, we're talking about the British. And so that's a relatively new, that's a very, very new and contemporary designation. But we're in Northeast Africa. We are in the northeastern corner of the land that in our times has been called Africa. But again, going back to the Hebraic context for us, this is Eden. This is the garden that was eastward in Eden.
What you talking about, mister?
This is Eden. This is the garden that was eastward in Eden. And the boundaries of that garden were defined by 4 rivers. Well, what are those 4 rivers? The first and the second were the Blue and the White Niles. The third and the fourth were the Tigris and the Euphrates. Now, our friends at National Geographic, they would have us believe that the first 2 rivers are in the Persian Gulf and are submerged now. In the National Geographic, they should be ashamed of themselves because they know better. They'll use the scriptural references to document that the Tigris and the Euphrates were the 3rd and the 4th rivers, but then when they want to identify what these first 2 rivers were, they don't use any scripture references whatsoever, because they refer specifically to rivers that compass or encompass the lands of Ethiopia. And they know then that they would have to acknowledge the Africanness and the dark-skinned nature of the peoples of antiquity in these regions here. We're in Northeast Africa. The peoples of this land in antiquity, all of those who descended from the Abrahamic tradition and adhered to those traditions, they were hands down African people. It's not even a subject open for debate. Of course, again, National Geographic would have us to believe that the only time that they give us credit for black people ruling in ancient Egypt was a 70-year period when the Nubians conquered ancient Egypt, and they only were able to accomplish that by virtue of mimicking ancient Egyptians. And they do this because they know that they have to draw the line for where the blackness began and ended. And if they give up ancient Egypt, they'll give up the Nubians, they can't deny that, but they will fight tooth and nail to give up ancient Kemet, because if they give that up, they know they also have to give up ancient Israel, ancient Acadia, ancient Sumeria, and all the other civilizations that are in this region. They would also have to give those up too. And of course, that's a little difficult for them to do. They will fight tooth and nail to draw the line at what is now Nubia. And so it's all part of a conspiratorial effort to keep the African world in darkness. And the funny thing about it is that when we come and challenge them, they have to back off of it. But they're always testing to see, do they know? How much do they know? They already know all of what we're talking about. It's not even something new for them. They have it all locked away in the British Museum and in the, what's the place in Paris? This is how they do it. The Louvre and so forth. All that history is there. So we're in Northeast Africa. We're in the heart of African civilization. Quiet as it's kept, all of the early humanity look like African people.
So the people who are living in Northeast Africa now, and they don't have the same superpower that we have, the melanin in our skin, how are they dealing with the sun?
Israeli researchers say early detection of the most dangerous form of skin cancer is proving to be beneficial. Officials attribute a recent decrease in the number of new cases of melanoma in Israel to their ongoing sun safety campaign. Still, the Jewish state has one of the highest rates of skin cancer in the world. The Jewish state has one of the highest rates of skin cancer in the world.
We have immigrant population that came from the former Russia. They have light skin, and they love the sun because they didn't have it. So some of them, when they came, we have to re-educate them. They were coming to the emergency room with burns because, you know, they were like giving themselves completely to the sun without any protection. And we have a lot of others who came, you know, in the 20s and 30s and 50s. They came from the western part of Europe or other parts with a lot of Ashkenazi, with light skin. So we have, like in Australia, in New Zealand, a high proportion of population who are in high risk. And it's a very warm area.
Finally, once again, Israeli researchers have found a new way to address the ever-increasing threat of skin cancer. This, as a Tel Aviv University study published on Monday in Nature Nanotechnology, outlines an all-new approach in fighting the aggressive disease through a so-called nano-vaccine. In fact, according to a statement released by Professor Sachi Fainaro, who led the study, quote, "In our study, we have shown that it's possible to produce an effective nano-vaccine against melanoma and to sensitize the immune system to immunotherapies." Adding that further, the research opens the door to a completely new vaccine approach to cancer, quote, "even in the most advanced stages of the disease." But how does the vaccine work? Well, melanoma, the deadliest of skin cancers, develops in the melanin, or skin pigment-producing cells of the body. And the cancer cells can then be characterized by some very specific amino acids. So researchers created tiny nanoparticles made of biodegradable polymers, which contain within them two such amino acids, or peptides, that are unique to the melanoma cells. And once injected into the body, Sachi Fainaro explains that the nanoparticles acted just like known vaccines for viral-borne diseases, by stimulating the immune system to learn to identify and attack any cells containing these peptides, i.e. the melanoma cells.
Black men and women produce more melanin in their skin, which results in darker pigments. The more melanin in your skin, the more protection you have against the harmful effects of sun exposure. Too much exposure to UV rays can cause skin to age quicker, resulting in wrinkles and sunspots.
Then from that point on, once the immune system knows which cells are dangerous and which are not, the body can attack melanoma on sight. And finally, through various tests both on mice and on human tissue, TAU researchers, together with partners from the Israel Health Ministry, the Israel Cancer Research Fund, Euro Nanomed 2, the Israel Science Foundation, and other international teams, they were able to show why they believe this treatment can both prevent melanoma from occurring in the first place, or at least severely stunt its growth.
Melanin may play a much bigger role than just absorbing all this radiation, and when you get it into your body, it actually has a major effect on your immune system. It protects genes and it actually repairs broken DNA. Isn't that wonderful?
So if you are native to that land, and the Creator gave you that land as your promised land, and you are the promised people, wouldn't you have the genetics to live in that land? That's something to think about.
Malcolm X made a statement, this famous statement. He said, they don't persecute us because we are Christians or Muslims. He said they persecute us, they give us hell because we are black. But I beg to defer that statement. Read this.
Roquette's International Thesaurus, established 1834.
What year?
1834.
Where were we brothers in 1834? Slavery. Okay, let's go inside the book. And can you read that for us?
Negro, colored person, black, blackamoor, Jim Crow, slang U.S., darky, Sambo, ebony, the image of God.
Do y'all see that? This is what they know. This is why they persecute us. They said these people are the image of God. This is why they persecute us.
Tell me what you think about this. Please write them in the comments below. And remember, please be nice. Thank you for visiting Berean Scholar. Stay tuned. Oh yeah, click, like, subscribe, and share this video so others can learn.
What do you think about this topic?
Please leave your comment in the comment section below. Please be nice. Please click the like button and the subscribe button and the bell to get notification for more videos in the future. Thank you for watching this video on the Berean Scholars channel.